According to Fauci, according to a federal judge, the White House has been ordered to fork over some of Lord Fauci's emails that critics say could show he hates freedom of speech. We know that. He hates freedom. He's said that explicitly. Comes after the attorneys general of Louisiana and Missouri filed a lawsuit accusing Biden officials of colluding with tech companies to censor information about things like the origins of COVID-19 and vaccine effectiveness. The plaintiffs have incriminating emails from 45 other Biden officials proving their case. So what dark deeds will we find in Dr. Fauci's emails? And could any of it make Chris Hahn fall out of love with him? He's such a tiny little guy. I just want to carry him around. The man panel is back. Brad Palumbo, Christopher Hahn, and Spike Cohen. So what do you think about this, Brad? Do you think that they will actually glean any truth from some of Fauci's emails, who, along with Karine Jean-Pierre, instructed tech companies to 86 some of the conversations about COVID origin and the like?
Yeah, I think we'll learn more about this kind of disturbing collaboration between government and big tech to block certain ideas or even specific accounts in some cases. And that's concerning to me because I've been for a long time somebody on the right, a free market conservative who says, you know, private platforms have a First Amendment right to not host speech they disagree with. And I still do believe that. But at a certain point, when government is telling them what to delete, who to take off, or even strongly suggesting it, that's no longer a private, it's still a private platform, but that's government interference. And that is a First Amendment problem. That is a free speech problem. And it's just not the proper role of the federal government in any way, shape, or form. These folks should be focusing on getting their public health advice right in the first place, which they failed to do, rather than trying to censor dissent and get their buddies in Silicon Valley to delete other people's criticism of them.
So, Chris Hahn, why do you like crony capitalism so much?
I don't like crony capitalism. I like freedom of speech. These platforms are not subject to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution in any way, shape, or form. Dr. Fauci and other people in the government were trying to combat misinformation that was all over the web, and these sites were trying their best to do it. And look, they weren't going to be right about everything originally. This is brand.
Okay, but what if the conversations that were taking place? What if it wasn't misinformation? What if it was the truth? And what if the misinformation actually came from government agencies and tech companies were censoring at their behest? Then you do have a problem that Brad just laid out.
Yeah, I think I would have a serious problem with that, but I don't think that's what we're going to find from this politically motivated lawsuit, which all of a sudden Republicans don't believe in executive privilege. So if we want to get rid of executive privilege here, we should be getting rid of executive privilege in a lot of places, especially down in Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
All right, Spike.
Yes, we should be getting rid of executive privilege on everything. I'm glad that my friends on the left now agree with that. My friends on the right now, I look forward to my friends on the left agreeing with it in about 2 to 3 years. When it comes to this, it's like Brad said, this is not a private action when it is under the direct coercion of government. So we've seen for at least the last couple of years, the mask has been completely off. You've had Jen Psaki and now Karine Jean-Pierre and even Joe Biden himself straight up threatening social media companies, saying that Facebook was killing people by allowing dissent when it comes to vaccines or masks. Many things that have turned out to be true were labeled as misinformation and disinformation. When you have the government doing that, threatening social media companies with federal lawsuits, federal action, dragging them in front of Congress again, that's government censorship by another name. That's just government censorship with more steps. And the First Amendment absolutely applies there. And this speaks to a bigger problem. Government should not be deciding what is or is not misinformation or disinformation, especially when they have the longest and most proven history of creating disinformation and misinformation. They have entire agencies that do nothing but create disinformation and misinformation. The best way to combat things that are untrue is with information that is true, not by having the government, who is one of the biggest purveyor of untrue things and of lies, to be the ones in charge of deciding what is or is not true. Many of my friends on the right are saying that we need to be ending or reforming Section 230. We need to be doing the opposite. Get government out of its social media entirely and allow them to make private decisions as private platforms without threats and coercion.
Chris, facial disgraceful. Spike just owned you in the schoolyard.
No.
How does it feel?
I mean, look, he doesn't understand the First Amendment at all. It doesn't apply at all to these social media platforms.
It
they
does
can do
when the
whatever they
government
want,
is
and they are
stepping
not.
in
Yes,
and giving them guidance.
Yes,
and
when the
coercion to do so.
government
Yes,
is
proven that the
instructing.
government threatened anybody in this case, Spike. And I agree with you. Look, the government has done a lot of disinformation. I don't think the government should be in charge of telling us what is true and what is not. But when Dr. Fauci, who spent his entire life trying to fight diseases, trying to deal with an emergent virus, he's not going to get everything right every single time. The government, Dr. Fauci is not your dad. Dr. Fauci is a guy who's trying to solve a major problem that was evolving.
He did kill a bunch of beagles, but that was unrelated to this. But regardless of that, when you have the government that has a history of enacting federal lawsuits and other actions, dragging Facebook and other companies in front of Congress, then that's not just them saying, hey, by the way, here's some information we'd like for you to take a look at.
That's not why this lawsuit is being filed. This lawsuit is being filed by knuckle-dragging attorney generals who kind of want to have a misinformation war to get that's right, attorneys general, who are trying to just get us to talk about it so that they can win their elections this fall. One of them runs for the United States Senate.
I wasn't even talking about this lawsuit. I have no idea about this lawsuit. I'm just telling you that the government needs to get out of deciding what is or is not true. I have no idea what Schmidt's purpose is behind this.
It's sad. I mean, it's like, I didn't expect Spike Cohen to own the libs, but he did it tonight. Brad, you did a fine job.
And by the way, Spike, your friends on the right are all about executive privilege. Maybe you should talk to them. I'm on the left. I don't want executive privilege.
To say that they're not right now.
Okay.
Baby steps.
I have to go to bed now. Party's over.